What is up, ladies and gents? Noli here. Welcome to another Payday video. It's been a little while since I got to say that, and it's been even longer since I got to say it is a Payday 2 build video. And I'm excited to be making another unique one. Obviously, there's only so many builds in this game that I can make, but as new weapons do come out, the variety does expand somewhat. And just recently there has been some new weapons added, the new Akimbo weapons, the Compat 5 and Krinkov. Initially I should say, I looked at them and was not particularly impressed, simply because the new Akimbos were weapons that already existed within the game. How could they be that different, that enjoyable? How could they really add anything new? However, when I finally got around to testing it earlier today, I realised they're actually pretty special, particularly the Compat 5. I've really enjoyed using it. And so I thought, why not make an entire build based around it? Something I've not done before. It's a combination of Akimbo weaponry, critical damage and dodge, ECM Jammers, and silent killer. So quite an odd combination. It requires pretty dedicated focus to Fugitive and Ghost trees. However, from my testing, it's actually been very effective and synergizes really nicely with one another. I thought it might be an odd mix, but it works. So using SMG primary and secondaries, alongside, of course, the Akimbo primary. Let's move on. I'll show you first and foremost the skills so we can actually get a better in-depth look at the weapons later on and understand why the stats are as they are. So, starting things off, as I said, ECM Jammer is the first peculiar option we choose to take in this build. When we look at the skills, it'll be a little easier to explain, so I'll move on from that. Two-piece suit, of course, got to keep that concealment nice and high. The perk deck is Grind. I'm sure all you guys know what Grinder does at this point. Widely considered one of the best perk decks in Payday 2, and I hate to use it again, but it is the best option here, and strangely enough, it actually opens up more options within my skills and build than if I went for something like Hitman to run my Akimbos. It seems unusual to me that it's working like that, but Grinder is the option we take here. Of course, for those of you who don't know, there's very few, it is essentially a heal over time based on the frequency of damage dealt, and let me tell you, this build deals frequent damage, if not constant damage. So, let's check out the skills. Starting things off with Mastermind, we go into Endurance, as most builds do if you want to be fast and able to run for a long period of time. Transporter, useful for most missions. Technician, we don't touch. Ghost is where a large chunk of our skills can be found. So Sprinter and Fast Hands, again, use that in almost all my builds. Chameleon's a little bit unusual. I'm acing it out, particularly for that 50% less likely to be targeted when close to crew members. It's really useful on a build like this. This build has no healing other than the slow heal over time by Grinder, not putting down Grinder any way, shape or form. It's still very powerful. But certain enemies are going to cause you problems. Certain enemies that do basically spike burst damage, like bulldozers or even tasers at times. Or shields, I suppose. Those are the enemies that this build has some issues dealing with. Bulldozers do go down quite quickly, but require some awkward positioning to do so. So Chameleon seems like the best option, so that the enemies are going to focus the tankier targets, and you can basically be a nuisance, a damage per second dealing nuisance. Martial Arts is my chosen individual point, basically to push me onto the higher ranks here. I do like melee, as you guys of course know. 50% chance of knockdown is nice, and I mean, Shinobi basics not bad at all in this sort of build. Cleaner basics not bad either. Cat Burglar not bad. But because we're going to go into SMG Specialist, because we're going to be in such close quarters, I may as well spec a little bit into melee. Reload speed and fire rate with SMGs, very useful within this build. I don't normally bother with fire rate. I think that essentially the rate at which SMGs fire does not always increase the damage per second. It does if you're landing every shot, but more often than not you're killing them fast enough anyway. It's just going to waste bullets. But the weapons I use in this build have an awful lot of ammo capacity, and as such I feel like I can afford to go for this, and really to fill its title of the bullet hose build, I may as well max out that fire rate. As you see, we basic out ECM Specialist. I'd like to ace this out if I had more points, sadly I do not. Placing 2 is very important to making ECM feedback a viable skill. Silent Killer and Professional are both aced out, completely increasing my damage with silenced weapons quite emphatically, and also giving me a chance to pierce. This is the real skill that I am enjoying. Aim down sight is also nice and useful. It's a luxury more so than anything else. But chance to pierce is good because the weapons I'm using are not necessarily accurate. So certain enemies that can only be damaged in certain places will not go down very quickly. However, with the silent killer sort of setup, doesn't matter if you're not hitting them in those soft spots, you're still going to be doing constant damage, and the fire rate with these weapons is so high, you're still going to be taking them out quite nice and quickly. ECM feedback, of course, aced out, so we can use it quickly and for an extended duration. Really like this skill, think it's grossly underrated. Ever since it was buffed to be able to be reused every 4 minutes, it was massively increased in power. You're going to want to set these up as early as possible in the heist and make as much use out of them as you physically possibly can, locking down areas and making you, I suppose in the same vein as we want to use Chameleon, we want to not be the focus of attention. Well, ECM feedback means you'll never be the focus of attention. Fugitive is the next skill tree, also full of skills of choice. Hidden Blade, of course we want to max out that concealment because we go from low blow and sneaky bastard up here. Daredevil is basically a skill we pick up to push us up to higher ranks. Run and gun, however, is very useful. Movement speed and aim down sight being unhindered. Duck and cover, dodge build, always pick these up. Sixth Sense is basically totally useless. It's not a stealth setup, though can be used somewhat for it. Brother's Keeper, again, relatively useless. Pushes us all the way up to Swan Song, however, which is not useless. With these fast fire rate DPS builds, even though I have a very large amount of ammo capacity, Swan Song is going to allow you to basically take out whatever killed you and make the revive much easier. I do like to pick this up whenever I go Fugitive and don't choose to go for uppers and quick fix as you see here. So Swan Song is my skill of choice. Low blow and sneaky bastards, as I've already said, because I can keep my concealment really nice and low, only have to basic these out, and with them I get 30% chance to crit and 10% chance to dodge. Both are useful. Crit chance in particular, I notice with fast firing weapons, always going to have an impact. The Akimbo is the final skill we see here. Because we don't go Fugitive, we go Grinder. As I said, that opened us up to more skills, more so than anything. I choose to pick up Akimbo here, the only way I can run the Compat 5, and I ace it out because increasing the capacity of my weapons is very important. I'm never going to have any sort of ammo bag unless I run with a team who has that, and I don't really want to have to be a drain on that wherever possible. I'm already using a slightly experimental build. As such, increasing my overall capacity is a powerful option, and I have found that these sorts of builds do not run out of ammo at all. As long as you're being active, running up to enemies you're killing, it's a close quarters build, and picking up the ammo you get from their corpse. There we have it, those are the skills. Not that complicated really, but very functional. Molotov Cocktail is always my choice of throwable. If I have Grinder on, it feels like it's the most effective. Electric Brass Knuckles are probably the best high concealment weapon in the game right now. The knockdown's pretty pathetic. I might suggest something with a little more knockdown, bearing in mind we're bothering to pick up that skill. But I really like the stun it has. It's a really nice effect. And finally, the ECM Jammer. As I said, let's take a look at the other options. Well, ammo bags, not necessary. This build picks up a lot of ammo very quickly, and you already have a great capacity. First aid kit, not necessary. You don't need those tiny heals when you're being constantly healed by Grinder. Doctor's Bag could be a good option. You may get downed occasionally. We run Swan Song, bearing that in mind. However, I've found that with Grinder and with the high dodge you're going to get on this build, it's never been a necessity, and I'd much rather have the ECM Jammer to help the team out. And I assume lots of people run Doctor's Bags online. The utility from Sentry Gun or Trip Mine would be nice, I have to admit, but they would involve me going into a skill tree that doesn't have a lot of useful things for me. Technician is not the sort of skill tree you're going to want to go into in these fast builds. They're more of a precision skill setup, so you're never going to be able to touch these. So ECM is essentially your best option because we're already going to be going into the Silent Killer setup. So there we have it. There we have the skills. Let's take a quick glance over at the weapons. My Compat 5s are not particularly modified. I do, of course, go for the Ninja Barrel. The Compats have always been really good in the silence builds because the Ninja Barrel is quite a nice option, lowering damage slightly, but we still hit that 43 threshold, 40 threshold I should say, thanks to the silent killer idea. And we raised that stability nice and high. Stability is really useful on Akimbo weapons, I have found. Keeping that concealment up nice and high as well is going to put us at that perfect detection risk. You can tell I'm slightly out of practice. And I really enjoy using the Ninja Barrel. Compact laser module, I like it with Akimbo weapons. I do feel like I hit fire more frequently with these. And so the laser can be useful. We got to go compact because we don't want to touch that detection risk at all. And that is it. That is all we modify our primary weapon with. It's already powerful, let me tell you. The Micro Uzi is probably my favourite submachine gun in the game. It's a really good option in and out of concealment builds, but it's probably the best concealment option. To make this build work optimally, you're going to want the concealment boost, as you see here. The build's still going to work really well without it, but you're going to lose 3% chance to crit and 1% chance to dodge. Not massively important, but I like it anyway. Low profile suppressor, same reason. We take a little hit to damage, which is easily picked up by the silent killer setup. And it of course gets those bonuses of increased aim down sight speed and penetration. Auto fire, when it unlocks on my builds. Gadget is up to you. I don't find like I need it on the Micro Uzi. And then no stock, gotta keep that concealment nice and high. Sadly we take a hit to stability, but it's already so high on this weapon, I would not worry. So the one weakness I've found with these weapons are their accuracy, the strength, its fire rate, stability, damage per second. Both are exceptional for both of the weapons. Of course, as you see, the actual ammo capacity of the Akimbo Compact 5s is 360 with that 120 from the skill. The rate of fire is really high, the damage is nice and high considering the other options we choose to go for, the total ammo and rate of fire. Magazine size, really high. Accuracy is not great, stability, fantastic, and concealment is exactly where you need it to be, and that's exactly the same case I found with the Micro Uzi. The stats fit in very nicely for this build. As ever, I like to test it out in the one fair training grounds of every build, Overkill Armored Transport at the Park. Not only is this one of the most visually appealing places to look at to heist, it's also a fantastic place to test out builds because there are no pesky snipers to ruin the fidelity of the test. So that's exactly where we are headed right now. So while you guys watch the gameplay in the background and see that this build does exactly what it said it would, I've got a couple of things to actually talk to you guys about. I think most pertinently of all is that this is going to be the very last build, at least with this particular skill setup we see for Payday 2 from this channel. The day that I recorded the gameplay and the initial commentary was actually the same day that the brand new skills beta was announced and released. And this is something that I have tried out and I'm very interested in. I'm not going to make any videos on it, I don't think, until it is fully released and finished, because as it is, I'm going to have about 10 videos on this channel that no longer are really applicable. Now, I'm really excited that we're getting brand new skills, much more deeply fulfilled skill trees. I think it's going to be fantastic for the game, but it is a bit of a kick in the head when I've made all these videos. Some of my favourite videos on this channel are build videos, and they're not going to be as applicable as they once were. Of course, the weapons and the general idea of the setup should still work in every single case, so I'm not going to take them down or anything, but if I were you guys, I'd stay tuned for the newer build videos that will follow the brand new pattern of skills we've got, because there's quite a few changes, let me put it that way. I am a massive fan of that element of Payday, the RPG elements that are added, and if they're being expanded on as they seem to be here and it's a success, I'm going to have a field day with it. I'm talking dozens of new builds, at least one every week after this update is fully released. So I'm really excited about that, as well as a little bit disappointed that my old videos will no longer be as good as they once were, I suppose. And this one is the last one of this particular era of Payday, so get some use out of it while you can. It's loads of fun, and I may try and replicate it when the new skill sets come out. I imagine in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, guys, I hope you're enjoying my Dark Souls stuff. I'm going to make some videos on Payday before then. I think I may take an overview of the skills and say where I feel the balance is missing, because some of those skills are definitely still not doing what Overkill wants them to do, and I feel like if I can in any way, shape or form help in the balance and improving the functionality of these skills, I will do my very best. And I will do that probably in the form of a video coming up over the next week or so. It's exam season at university. 4th and the 5th I have my first 2 exams, one after another. But I only have 4 in total, so that's not too bad. So I hope, even while I head back to uni, I should still be able to keep up with my video making. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. So thanks a lot for watching this video, the end of an era. And of course, guys, I will see you all in the next one.